Yeah, give us a minute.
All right, it's 5:05 on December 18th. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Would you please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, moving right along. We've all had a chance to look at the agenda. Any changes noted or needed?
None.
None. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda as listed?
I'll make the motion.
I can second that.
Discussion, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Carries 4-0. Thank you. I'll restate the agenda items. We'll have public input on non-agenda items. We have 3 items on the consent agenda, which is meeting minutes, November general fund, and November capital project expenditures. Then the fire chief's report. Unfinished business, we'll have the update on the high water vehicle, update on the sale of 3043 Estero, move on to new business after that on the construction contract for the guaranteed maximum price for the new Fire Station 31. The chief will make remarks, we'll make remarks, and then we will adjourn. At this time, is there any public input on non-agenda items? Seeing none, we'll move right along. Consent agenda. All had a chance to look. Any discussion, questions, corrections needed for consent
None.
items?
None.
None? Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
I'll second that.
Discussion, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0. Thank you. All right, that brings us to the fire chief's report. Chief?
Thank you, sir. Good evening, Commissioners. It's hard to believe we're closing out 2024 already. But here we are getting ready to put another year in the books. First and foremost, hurricane season is over. Happy about that.
Yes, we are.
While we didn't get away unscathed, it could have been much worse had we taken that direct hit from Hurricane Debbie, Helene, or Milton. We learned some good lessons. We had some successes, such as having the town with us at the shelter location, and for the clarity that we need over the type of high water vehicle that'll be best for our community. Over the last quarter, we've seen a lot of our folks taking advantage of training and development opportunities. Our first firefighter has successfully completed his acting officer credential, where before you had to be an engineer. We've changed it, and now we're developing our firefighters to also serve in that role as needed. We have one other firefighter and engineer who are progressing through that process nicely, so look forward to having them on board pretty soon. Our new USAR members aren't resting after accomplishing their basic training and achieving team member status. They're now taking additional training to continue developing their skills. We have 12 members signed up for hands-on training in Orlando in February. And Chris Cox in Life Safety has also stepped up, and he is starting to train on doing plan review while still performing his regular duties. So we thank Chris for that. After a protracted process, we completed the sale of Old Fire Station 31. It is bittersweet to see it sold. A lot of memories in that building, a lot of history. It has served the community well for nearly 70 years, and we will miss it. With that, though, it is also good to know that the structure is going to continue to serve the community. Its new owner being local and already planning and actually working on renovations. So he's hit the ground running. We've had a productive and successful negotiation season this year. District 3 was due for renewal, and we started those negotiations in May. The sessions went smoothly, and we likely would have been done by October 1 had it not been for Hurricanes Helene and Milton setting us back a bit. Nonetheless, we finished last month, and we now have a new 3-year contract. I'd like to give a special thanks to DVP Williamson and his team. Their professionalism and their commitment to that positive labor management relationship is what made it possible. In administration, I'm going to highlight Craig. Craig's been busy. He resumed our signboard project that we had started before Hurricane Ian, and that is being able to stream different pieces of information from that we have. It's gathering it all up and putting it on the screens in front of the crews in the stations. That can be messages from administration, current events. When emergency calls come in, they will pop up on the screen with details of the call. So he's been working on that project, and we look forward to having that in service pretty soon. Craig was also able to complete the project, replacing all of our mobile data computers in each of our response vehicles. This is a project that we had been pushing back because of changes at the county system with the 911 and waiting to see what the right hardware was. Things kind of settled down there, and we realized what the right machines were, and Craig took care of all that and has it in service. Chief Kraus has been working on building out our asset tracking system, and he's done a great job with that, and he has it in service now. So many aspects of our operations, like historically, supplies, uniforms, vehicle checks, and repair tickets are in that system. He has built out adding the facilities, so any job tickets for facilities, issues with our bunker gear, or our emergency radios are all now part of that system. So it's bringing all of our assets together in one place so we can track them. So good job to Randy on that. In operations, Chief Armiger and Lieutenant Jensen attended the Blue Card Hazard Zone Conference in Ohio. Blue Zone, as you remember, is the grant we received from AFG, American Assistance for Firefighters, and that put all of our people through incident management training. Chief Armiger is also going to be working shortly in the next coming weeks in putting all the firefighters through it, and that will complete out the Blue Card project for this time around. That conference that they attended in Ohio included topics on Mayday prevention, near-miss incidents and how to learn from those near-miss incidents, fires in mid-rise multiple dwellings, and a lot of our structures on the island, generally 4 to 8 stories, are recognized as mid-rises. So the targeted topic there. Talking about modern fires and modern building materials and furnishing materials and how that changes the game for us. And then critical decision thinking and decision making in those types of situations. We've also had several other members who've reached milestones or accomplished their goals. I'd like to highlight firefighter John Nichols. He credentialed as a paramedic with Dr. Pereira. Firefighter Keith Gaudet is the one who successfully credentialed as an acting lieutenant. Firefighter Romeo Carano finished his 40-hour rope ops training, which is a part of the urban search and rescue criteria. Chief Armiger, Engineer Gonzalez, and Firefighter Laser completed their training in Advanced Incident Command. That's the ICS 400 course. Firefighters Rojo and Engineer Martinez began phase 2 of their acting lieutenant task books. If you look through the training hours, you get a breakdown of how they are for October, November, and December. December represents only half a month, of course. As far as call volume goes, while we're seeing an average monthly increase in calls year over year, we are not seeing a consistent percentage increase sufficient for us to predict future trends. So for example, in October this year, the year-over-year increase is 57%, while the November increase in calls is only 11%. And then December, we're seeing a 79% increase. So we're not seeing that consistency that we had before Hurricane Ian, which makes it hard for us to kind of make projections, but we're still watching that data to look for to normalize. The historical distribution prior to Ian was 70% EMS, 30% fire. Those numbers also remain upended. As you can see in the data below, the distribution trend since Ian remains a majority fire, minority EMS, which is not normal. Looking at the incident count pre and post Ian, the call volume for 24 continues to be about 60 to 65% of what it was before Hurricane Ian. And then for our December anniversaries, Battalion Chief Terry Brunson with 24 years of service, Lieutenant Sean Jensen with 16 years of service, Driver Engineer Paul Russell also has 16 years of service, Life Safety Inspector Bill Genebrino with 12 years of service, and Firefighter Jesse Miranda has 3 years of service. And that's my report.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? Comments? Nope. Moving right along. We're going to do unfinished business. Next on the schedule is the progress on the high water vehicle acquisition and for bids. Chief?
Before I start that, if I can, Commissioner Lezak reached out, and she is in traffic,
Okay.
trying to get here.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, so on the high water vehicles, on the screen, if I can get it to work. So last meeting, I talked about a couple of the different vehicles that we were looking at. A few weeks ago, Commissioner Bennett had the opportunity to go with me and drive Lee County Sheriff Office vehicle, high water vehicle. It's called Sherp, that's the manufacturer. It looks like the vehicle on the left, and it was an interesting vehicle to see and operate. I think it had some limitations for our folks in the sense that it was a manual transmission, which makes my driver cash limited. And it had some other features on it that I think probably made it a second choice over the vehicle on the right, which is the LMTV, or the light military transport vehicle that they modify into high water use.
Okay.
Since we did that test drive, we have I have looked at a different brand of that vehicle, and it's called Fat Truck, and I'm taking a test drive on that brand tomorrow up in Punta Gorda. So the point is, we're still doing the homework on these vehicles. So as we've done some more homework, we're starting to get into the pros and cons of each vehicle and figure out what we're looking at. So on the high water vehicle, that is the LMTV, pros for that type of vehicle are is that it does have an automatic transmission, is that it can carry a water tank. It's got enough space to carry a water tank and a small fire pump, so we can use it for multiple uses. It can reach up to 70 miles an hour on the highway if it deploys for an urban search and rescue mission, and it can handle about 48 inches of water. The downside to a truck like this is that you're getting a 20-year-old truck that's being restored, and you're looking at a price tag of about $300,000 by the time you put water and a fire pump on it. For the amphibious vehicle, I've included the Fat Truck UTV because it has additional benefits over the Sherp. So first benefit is that you're getting a new vehicle. The second one is it's amphibious. So one of the things that you have to be careful of in high water is, has the road washed out? Are there holes? And that's something that can trip you up. If you're in even an LMTV and you drive into a hole, you can be dead in the water, just like you would with any other vehicle. With this vehicle, it floats. It can go in the water, so it can. If you had that hole, you would feel it, but your vehicle would float. You would go through it and keep moving on. It's an automatic transmission with a joystick control, so it's a single joystick that controls the wheels. It has a hydraulic drive system, and what that does is it can give us the benefit of having hydraulic plug-ins on the back and having customized accessories at the back of it, possibly a lift, hydraulic lift. You may be able to power a small fire pump with a hydraulic motor, or even the potential for some kind of customized propulsion system if you are fully in the water and floating. It has a local service center here in Punta Gorda. It is made in North America. It is made in Canada. However, the Sherp is made in Ukraine. So this is a North American vehicle with a Caterpillar motor in it versus a foreign diesel motor. So we have local Caterpillar shops that can work on the motor. And it has zero turn capability. So if you're in a tight area, because this is hydraulically driven, it can actually, one set of wheels turns backwards, the other one turns forwards, and it can actually turn in a very tight area. The downside is that it would have to be trailered to a USAR deployment. We would buy it with a trailer. It has about 36-inch of water depth capability before it floats. The downside is it has a slow speed on the water of about 4 miles an hour. And the tires can be expensive on it, even though the manufacturers say that they have a long life to them. So it's kind of where we're at with it. I did put the Sherp vehicle up there to talk about the downsides, which I've already kind of mentioned, the manual transmission. And that with that system, because the tires air up and down, with that system, it feeds off the exhaust of the motor. And if you lose one tire, you have the potential of all of them going flat because they're all balanced together by the same air system, the air amount. So I don't know if that's a feature. I'll find out tomorrow if that's a feature because I know the fat truck uses an air pump rather than the exhaust of the motor. So I got to see how their system's built. So that's kind of where we are on the high water vehicles. The homework continues, and I hope in the next month, maybe 2, that we have able to come to you guys with the contract.
Questions?
Not right now.
Yes. What is the mission of this vehicle to be? Is it to drive down Estero Boulevard when it's maybe 2.5, 3 feet deep to retrieve citizens who, for whatever reason, decided to stay? And in my opinion, I mean, now we're getting into fire ops, although I've never seen a high water truck. We don't need a pump. We're going down streets that are full of water. Put 4 or 5 2.5 gallon pressurized water tanks in case we come upon something. Another question I have on the Smurf trucks. I know it's not Smurf, but that's what I call them.
Sure.
How many and how easily, when they're going down the street looking for people who decided not to go for whatever reason, how many large invalid residents can we get in that thing? And compared to loading these residents, compared, which is one, my whole, what is the purpose of this vehicle? Is it to go in circles? I love this thing.
Yeah.
Elton John has one. He endorsed it. Now, I don't know that we need to listen to what Elton John says about Smurfs, but I think we need to look at what is the mission of this truck. Is this to rescue people who decided not to go? And if somebody in Captiva needs this truck, we can get it there as soon as they can get there.
Yeah. So to answer those questions, yes, the first mission is people mover, people rescuer. The back of these, while they look small, if you have people that are upright, you can put about 6 people in the back, 2 up front. So it'll carry 8 people. If you
How
were gonna-
many can carry? How many people could we jam into the high water?
The LMTV?
Yeah.
Oh, definitely more than this. The
Well, that's-
LMTV would have
I'm
more
looking at
capacity.
rescuing people.
Yeah.
I don't want to be limited because we're overloaded with invalid heavy.
Right. So if you were to put a wheelchair in the back of this, and that was one other limitation to the Sherp vehicle is the way the rear end opens. It would be tough to, we'd have to make something to be able to put people in on a wheelchair. The fat truck that I'm looking at tomorrow, the door opens to the side, so the whole back is wider open. So you could probably put a couple wheelchairs in there with a couple rescuers in the back.
I believe we're looking at we have to decide what is the mission of this vehicle
Right.
and go from there.
Right. So I'm looking at
And
it
if
as
we
being
can
able
put
to
20 people who decided not to leave, fine.
Yeah.
I love this stupid thing. It looked great in the parade. I mean, we could go. And, well, I asked Scott earlier, does this thing have an anchor? Because when now all of a sudden it's 5 feet of water and this thing's going down the street. and
Yes,
I
it
don't
does have an
care.
anchor.
It does have an anchor. A Smurf vehicle, we need it. Somebody come get us.
Yeah, where I stand right now between the LMTV and the Sherp, it would be the LMTV. I want to look at this other amphibious vehicle, see if it meets more of our objective.
Bring it around.
But first is high water.
Yeah.
Now, during Hurricane Helene, while we stayed in district, we had a house fire we could not get to. Even the high water vehicle we had from San Carlos couldn't reach it. So that's the purpose of the pump, and a pump that you could drop and pump water and maybe get a line.
When
of
there's
service.
storms,
So,
okay.
And then the third one would be if we're able to, go out on the beach with it. Those bigger tires do provide a smaller or a lower per square inch impact to the beach. So
There were a few incidents brought up when we did the test with the sheriff's office from the folks, Captiva Sanibel, where their LMTVs were stuck, and so the rescuers had to be rescued at that point, and that was with Ian, I believe, or was Milton after. I forget which.
Well, I mean, the sheriff has one. Let him send that thing here.
It's yeah, but
Or let's buy both.
well, I lean towards, what can we get the best bang for our buck?
Right.
If we can make it multi-use, it's even more beneficial because we don't have to have additional assets to do the same job or like jobs. But the Sherp was impressive. It definitely had its limitations. It was interesting to go from road to, we went through the pond in front of the sheriff's office and motored around that for a while. And it super capable, and it crawls like a snail. I mean, it's definitely a capable vehicle, but I think the controls are probably more complicated for somebody who's not used to driving a stick and a motorcycle. That it would be difficult because it's hand-foot coordination and both hands with braking and steering and shifting, and it the last thing we want to do is have an increase in our training to get people ready to rock the thing and take it out on a job. I'm interested to see what the fat truck does. Not a big fan of the name, but I think it's
I like Smurf.
it says the Smurf. Anybody else? Comments, questions?
Right now.
Thanks, Chief. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Yes.
All right, unfinished business. Item B is update on the sale of 3043 Estero Boulevard.
Yeah, so not a whole lot on that. It's been a few months since you authorized the contract to purchase. During that time, it was a journey to get to the ultimate goal of a clear title for the buyer. There are 3 parcels there. There's 11 family members in the Zimmer family, heirs, who had to work through all their paperwork in order for us to be able to have one designated member for all the family to be able to close on the property. There was some questions on the buyer's side about his ability to reuse that 2-story structure. We fortunately had those documents from our work with FEMA. So we were able to update the 50% letter and give him assurances there. At the end of the day, everything got done and the sale closed on Thursday last week. And we're glad to have it in the buyer's hands and
Great.
see it done.
Good job, sir. Good.
I don't know if anybody's been by there. It was there 2 days ago. But there's
dummy?
an old dummy, and he's on a lawn chair under an umbrella holding a Yang.
Holding beverage.
A beverage bottle. It's amusing.
Yeah.
The drowned dummy that I'm waiting for the sun to destroy the rest of it. Thank you, sir. Appreciate all the work on both those projects. New business, sir, is our next item, and that is the construction contract and guaranteed maximum price for the new Fire Station 31.
Yes, I'm excited to finally have this in front of you, and hopefully we move forward and get going with construction. So a little bit of history on this. Back in February of last year, or February this year, we had an initial contract with Wright Construction Group for construction management, and that included their guidance as we were working through our construction documents with the architect. What I'm bringing to you tonight is an addendum to that agreement, and with 100% construction documents completed, Wright Construction has been able to do a bid on this and come to us and give us a guaranteed maximum price, so not to exceed maximum price for constructing the building. The final pricing for the GMP is $11,940,849. This fire station is 13,450 square feet. That represents a per square foot price of $892. In this addendum, they're stating their time to reach substantial completion at 14 months. And this is all with construction starting first of the year. So they're looking at about February of 26, and then they give them another month to March of 26 to reach final completion, which is the time we'd be doing the punch list and making sure everything's squared away before we actually take possession and start using the building. That March 26 point is the deadline provided by the state of Florida for their assistance with the grant they've provided us. If you will, I wanted to break down a little bit how we got to $892 per foot. So back in July of '23, I had done an exercise looking at GMPs for current fire stations, and it was around $750 at that time. So in the year and a half since that time, and now that we've gotten to bid, there's a breakdown. I broke it down to $830 per foot, and that's for the $750 per square foot price was for slab-on-grade fire stations. One was in Lehigh, one was in Cape Coral. These are one-story buildings. They can be built right on earth because the ground is high enough. With us being with coastal construction, I asked the contractor to break out what portion of this $892 is related to us having to flood-proof the station and elevate the station and all the adjacent areas. And they broke that out and came up with about $60 per square foot. For example, there's 300 feet of retaining wall because the parking area is elevated as well as the station itself. So about $60 of that is coastal construction. The breakdown of that is $263,000 attributed to the retaining walls around all the parking area to have everything elevated. The roads around the station are 4.5 foot on the side street, 5 foot on Estero Boulevard. We're taking the garage floor to 8 feet. The parking spaces outside are somewhere between 7.5 feet high. So retaining walls to hold all of that in and together are required. So $263,000 attributed to that. Originally, the staircases were all metal pan with poured concrete treads. I told them I wanted anything that was below the floodplain, 14 feet, what we're building to. I wanted that to be poured precast concrete for durability and keeping it out of salt water if we have flooding. $36,000 is that price tag. Stem walls to get the elevation of the building itself up to 8 feet, $42,000. The railings that have to go when you're building those retaining walls around the parking areas, you have to have railings so people can't trip and fall 2 or 3 feet down into the retainage area. That adds $95,000. The flood vents and the flood panels for the areas that are dry flood proofed, adds $47,000. The dry flood proofing itself, which is sealing up the block walls and everything, other than the entrances themselves, adds about $14,000. And then for ADA compliance, with a multi-level building, you have to have a chairlift or an elevator. We went with a chairlift, which saved us about $70,000 over going with a full elevator. So those costs are part of the costs that add to that extra $900,000 or $60 per square foot. So with that, you have in front of you the motion to approve. Also in this project, there are contingencies of 4% in case the district, we need to make any changes that we may have missed in the plans, which is typical in a contract like this. And then the contractor has a 3% contingency in case there's any escalation with the subcontractors or unknown things on their side. And the thing to keep in mind with a GMP is that this is not a hard bid, which means that they're not pocketing everything. Whatever is not used in the contingencies and allowances comes back to the district in the end. So we're currently working through some of the bigger ticket items, such as the generator, for example. Right now is representing about a $300,000 item in itself. So we're looking at options to maybe save some money there. And any savings will go into the allowance for us, and if not used, ultimately come back to the district.
Thanks, sir. Questions? Concerns? No. Chief, do we have a clarification on the one item that I
Yes,
asked
so you asked
earlier?
about the general conditions. So the general conditions include your initial permitting cost, your insurances that you'll have, like builder's risk and liability. It includes the construction trailer, basically all the costs that are attributed to Wright Construction and not to their subcontractors.
Okay.
It'll include the labor costs for your superintendent for that year. So those are all part of that initial
great.
line item, that first line item.
Thanks, sir. Appreciate
Yes, sir.
it. All right. So at this time, do we have a motion to approve the addendum to the original construction management agreement dated February 28th, 2024, which includes the guaranteed maximum price of $11,940,849 with the performance and timeline requirements?
So moved.
I'll second. Discussion?
None.
Question?
No? When I spoke a little bit about the costing on the building, I did ask the question about the difference between this building and what was quoted before, that would be a non-coastal building, and asked about the roof and the roof structure and tie downs and things that will be required out here in a higher velocity zone than further inland. I don't know, Scott, if you want to mention that a little bit as
Sure. So that,
additional items.
that was a good question. So I asked the contractor to do this exercise, and they gave me what they gave me, and it's $890,000. But it is true. So for example, in Lehigh Acres, while they build to, actually Lehigh Acres does not build this level E, which if you're not familiar, you have for your homes, you have in a regular area, you have the small missile impact. And that's a smaller piece of material shot at the item that's being tested at 50 miles an hour. When you get into large missile impact ratings, you get into bigger materials thrown at the same objects, again at 50 miles an hour. When you get into level E, those large materials are being fired at the materials tested at 80 miles per hour. So level E is the highest level of resilience to impact protection. We're building to level E. The Lehigh station that was at 750 was not to level E, and it was built for 180 mile an hour wind. The Cape Coral station was level E, built to 180 also. We are level E, built to 200. So there are probably more aspects of this in the sizing of the trusses and the reinforcement, the steel, and everything else to meet those components. So likely the cost to build coastal is higher than the $60 per square foot. That was a good question.
Not many options, though, with us being coastal as far as where we can
Well,
put a
yeah,
station.
and I wanted him to make sure that we talked about that a little
Right.
bit, just so that it's out there and it's on the record that,
Yeah.
this is kind of new territory for everyone at 200 miles an hour, so there likely could be some additional costs for trussing and strapping and, additional materials that we don't even know might be necessary, so.
Definitely be one of the stronger buildings on the beach when it's completed.
I feel comfortable that we'll come back to it.
Yeah.
Probably the strongest one.
I would say that as well. I'm biased. Public input. Seeing none. We'll put it to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Carries 5-0. Thanks,
Do we need
Chief.
to roll call that
Thank
one,
you.
or no?
I don't think so.
No? Okay.
Double check. We do not.
Okay.
Thank you, though. All right, wrapping things up. Get back to my agenda. Fire chief remarks.
First, I'd like to open by congratulating Christina on her new baby boy. Baby Isaiah was born on December 5th, and mom and baby are both healthy and spending some time together and bonding. So
Good.
she's going to be out for 8 to 12 weeks using her time. So congratulations to Christina and her family. I'd like to, on behalf of Commissioner King, he asked me to please thank the crews. He needed our services this month and just had all kinds of great things to say about their professionalism and their compassion and the way they helped him in his time. So on his behalf, thank you to all the guys that responded to his emergency. Our team is currently over at Leaky Tiki with the Beach Kids Foundation. Once again, doing a great job by providing, of the FMB family, to provide those Christmas gifts and making it special for other families in the community. It's been a great year. I want to thank the entire team for their safe and productive year. It includes you guys for your leadership. And I'd like to say that I'm looking forward to an exciting 2025. We've got a new fire truck coming in February that we're going to be outfitting, January, February. New fire station. We're going to be hiring folks for that station and making promotions. So there's a lot of really good stuff happening this coming year. So, and finally, I'd like to say Merry Christmas and hope everybody has a safe New Year. We met on the fireworks today and went through the plans with the town and the sheriff's office, and looking forward to another great event like 4th of July. So,
Awesome.
Merry
Thank you,
Christmas.
sir.
Thank you.
That's my report.
Thank you. Who would like to start the commissioner remarks? New guy? Commissioner Farrell?
New guy starts.
Come on, you guys.
Throw the new guy in.
Welcome to the team.
Sink or swim. All right.
Notes. You wrote them down.
Yeah. I'm not going to wing it.
No, first time.
Nice. Picking on the new guy. All right. First of all, thanks to the chief for a very thorough report. I'm very excited to see construction on this new building next month. I think it's going to be very cool to watch as you drive by and see what's built next. I also want to congratulate staff in the department, firefighters, who are working toward their professional goals, certifications and stuff. I know that's a lot of work and sometimes gets maybe not noticed as often as it should, but they put in a lot of work and more power to them. So thank you to them. And Merry Christmas to all of you, everyone. Happy New Year.
Thanks, sir. Commissioner Lezak.
Thank you. So I wanted to pass along a thank you from Councilwoman Karen Woodson to the crews. They responded to a call for her husband, Mark, 3 weeks or so ago, and they're very appreciative for the care and the service that he got getting him to the hospital. And so they wanted to make sure that thank you got passed down through the ranks, and the folks were very professional and thorough, and took really good care of him, just like I'm sure Councilor King experienced. So please pass that along. And I also am excited to start to see this thing come out of the ground. It's going to be great to drive by every day and see what's happening. We finally have a new house going up on our street, and it's awesome to come home every day and see what happened during the day with the new house progressing. So that's pretty exciting. It's also a home for someone who works for the town, so I think that's kind of neat as well. Thank you, and Merry Christmas to everyone. Thank you to the board, the rest of my board mates here, for being the amazing team that you are. It's a joy and a privilege to work with all of you, and with the team at the fire department. Scott, you and your team, you make this job easy. Your thoroughness and knowing that the four of you are here with me really means a lot. So Merry Christmas to all of you out there. Happy holidays, and happy, healthy New Year.
Thank you. Commissioner Nichols.
I don't know how you follow that. Merry Christmas and happy holidays to all of you. It is exciting. I think the year 2024 has been challenging in a lot of ways, and 2025, I hope, is a very exciting year for us to continue progressing. Did I see a construction trailer on our property?
You did.
That's very nice to see that, because that's a step forward in moving that project forward for our community. And I would like to thank everyone at the fire department for their incredible work that they've done this past year. Unless you've worked in public safety, you don't appreciate the challenges that it presents to each individual, their families, working those shifts, working in those dangerous situations, the unknowns. And when the holidays come around, it's a time to reflect how fortunate we all are to be here and to have gotten through the year, and looking forward to the next year. So I hope that they all, I'm glad they all have had a good year, and hope for a good year next year. So, and happy holidays to all of you. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Commissioner Fleming.
I too am very pleased to see us moving forward with 31. It's been a long time since we even first started talking about buying a lot. It also pleases me to see the number of people that are taking advantage of training out of town, Orlando, and other places they're going. I'm pleased to see that we're getting ready to post an HR and training chief to train all the people we need to hire, staff fire trucks. And, there's a lot going on. We took a real hit for me, and that changed the rules. This past year, was concerning, to say the least. You know, we all have neighbors who, after Milton, they've given up, they've left, or some are actually trying to do it again. I don't know how often they can do that. But thank you. This has been a very good year, I believe, for the district. I wish good health and safety for all of us, all of our potential large elderly people who don't want to leave. But we're moving forward. I think, you know, after this year, I don't see, unless we get another Ian, I don't just, we've turned the corner. I really think
I would agree. And I heard somebody say it the other day, we're ready for our 100-year break from
Yes.
from the storm pattern, and I couldn't agree more. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Not much more I can add. Thanks to the board again. Great working with you. Enjoy it. Look forward to it. Look forward to the coming year and the developments and our annual retreat so we can refresh some sunshine rules and all the other good stuff we get to do. Really excited for the new firehouse. Excited that we're closed on the old property, and that's off the chief's plate. Outstanding job on the admin side and on the floor from all the shifts and all the folks. I used to say guys and gals, but anymore I don't know what to say, so we'll just say folks. Great job. Always professional, always hearing good things. Mr. King conveyed his thoughts to me during the boat parade as well, and he expressed that when he's back from his Christmas break that he will come and personally say a few words, so look forward to that as well. Everybody have a great Christmas, New Year's, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa,
Commissioner, I have one more thing.
everything else. Yes, sir.
I don't want to miss this, and I'm sorry for missing it. FP&L. I just want to highlight them and thank everybody from FP&L. They came out and decorated Station 33.
That's true, yeah.
They brought a group of volunteers that were just full of Christmas spirit, and a bucket truck and all their folks, and came out and hung lights just to kind of share that Christmas spirit. It was very nice. I'd like to thank all of them for that and recognize what they did. They did it for us, Boca Grande, Longboat Key, a couple other island fire departments up the coast. So
That's really the spirit of the holidays,
It
when
really-
they
it was
come
really
out and
nice.
decorate a firehouse, and
It's nice.
they donate their time and the supplies and everything else.
they brought Christmas wreaths for all the responders
That's
at
awesome.
that station. So it was really a nice time for us all.
That's
Thank you
terrific.
to them.
And it's quite beautiful. Everyone should take the opportunity to go over there and see it after
Yeah.
dark.
Yeah.
It's amazing what they did, really, in such a short time.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thanks for not missing that. Anybody else? Last comments, public input?